Hey, this is Troy DeGroat with You Chapter 2, and today we're going to talk about interior design workflows in Bluebeam Revu. As with most of my videos, there's a blog post on the same subject on my website at youchapter2.com. And as a subject matter expert, you can also find over a dozen articles I've written on Bluebeam's website as well. I'll be sure to add those links in the description for this one. All right, enough of that talking stuff. Let's dive in. I want to talk specifically today about spaces in Bluebeam and show how those work. Then look at the search panel for both text and visual search examples. I'll show how to create a legend and show some examples, and then some quick examples of a different kind of digital dashboard. So I'm going to switch over to my drawings here and then jump in. And the first thing we're going to do is show you how to create a space. So here are some that are already built. We'll go to our Spaces tab over on the left side. If you don't see your Spaces tab over here, you're just going to right click down here in this black area, go to Show, and go down to Spaces, or Alt S is going to be the shortcut for that. That will turn on your Spaces panel. Once you dive in there, you're going to see I already have a few created. And when I click on those, you can see those highlight. So this one's labeled East, this one's North, and then inside here, you can see we've got the parent is the North, and then the child spaces are labeling these different conference rooms. So let's quickly show you how to create those. We're going to jump to page 2 of this document, and here you can see again, I've got a couple of spaces on page 2 here. I've got East and West again. So up here, I'm going to click on Add a Space, and I'm going to zoom in and just quickly add a couple of these conference rooms. I'm going to draw, just tracing inside the corners here. Double click when I'm done, and then it's going to ask me to name this space. So one tip that I like to show here is I like to put an empty one character, so I just hit spacebar, and I'll show you why in a second. And then we're going to type in the number of this room here. So P12-4120. I'm going to say OK. And then it's ready to create another one. So we're going to zoom down a little bit and just go ahead and create this second one here. And these child ones need to be completely inside of the parent space. They can't overlap or fall outside of it or anything like that. So we're going to then name this one. So P124130. We'll update this and say, I'm going to put my space in there again, and I'm going to say OK. And then we'll come back to why I put that space in there in a minute. When I'm naming those, if I come in here and go to rename, you can see that I have a space in front of that one. And then a lot of times on the parent one, if I go and rename that, I like to also add a space after that. And I'll show you why in a little bit after we make some markups. It actually comes out a little bit more clear, and it's just a preference thing for me. So now that I've created spaces, and the reason we create spaces is because it helps us allocate where our markups are located. So when I place markups in this room, in my markups list, it's actually going to list them so that I could sort my entire list to show what's in each room as opposed to what's in the whole building. So we can kind of allocate what's in each individual room. So now that we've created those, we're going to jump over into our search panel over on the right side. Again, that's our little magnifying glass. If you don't have that, you can right click, go to Show, and your magnifying glass is going to be down here. Alt 1 will turn that on for you. And we're going to start at the top with our text search. That's the first tab here. And we're going to be able to very quickly search for different things within our drawing. So before I do that search, I want to show you guys over in our tool chest over here. I've built some custom tools for different furniture and things that we're going to label in our floor plan. So I've just created some generic chairs, and then on this particular project, I went in and gave them the specific chair number that they show on the plan. So I can update that label each project and just create a tool set full of generic chairs. I've done the same thing with tables and some different accessories. So let's quickly do a search for some of these. I'm just going to go in and type in C1 and search for that. And in here, a setting that I want to make sure that we mark is this whole words only. I want to make sure that I check that. Otherwise, it's going to find all the examples of C1 where it might say C1.7 or C1.B, which is completely different. But because it has C1 in it, it flags it. So we want whole words only to find the ones that are only C1. Once it finds all of these, I can zoom in and pick on these, and it will bring me to that. So down here you can see it found C1, and I can click and it will bring me, so I can verify all of those are indeed C1 chairs. And then I'm just going to check this box here to select all, and I'm going to go to apply count measurement to checked, and here you can see my custom tools are available for me to select. So I'm going to select my C1 chair, and it's going to place a markup on all of those C1 chairs. So let's move on. Let's look for the next one, C2. And I'm just going to go through a bunch of these really fast, show you how quick we can do this. Mark those. Again, just going through and using the custom tools. There you can see a bunch of them there. And we're looking at the current document, which means some of these markups are on this page and some of them are on the first page as well. So we'll do just a couple more here. Show you how fast we can find these and how many there are. Let's see, I found a bunch of them. We're going to go with 12 for the last one, search. And 12 there. So now you can see how quickly it found these different markups, or these different chairs and things in here. So in some cases, because we're searching for the text, you can see here it did a good job because each chair was labeled. Down here in this other one, the search function's not perfect. It won't always give you examples. It totally depends, especially with the visual search, depends on the quality of the markup or the quality of the document. So, but in this example, they labeled it differently and said they need 19 of these chairs. So in this case, all I would do is select that markup. Before I do that, I need to hide my spaces. So I'm going to come up here and click on this highlight spaces. Then I can select my markup, and I'm just going to right click and resume count. And I'm going to make sure that I have one on each chair so it's accounted for. Oops. And then this last one here, I'm just going to select this one and move it over there. And now I've got all of those chairs accounted for. Okay, so I'm going to turn my spaces back on so I can see those. There you can see I very quickly found a bunch of my chairs. I can come in here, look at my tool chest again. Maybe we'll search for some tables this time. So I'm going to go T13. Search. Mark those. Go to my tool or my tables here. T14. Hit enter. There's a bunch of those. And then we'll do 27. Just show you. We're going to mark up this plan as quickly as we can with our tables and our chairs. We'll put in some accessories here as well with our MB2. So all I did was look at the plan and determine which different accessories and chairs, how they were labeled, and then I edited the label on my standard tool sets, the tools in my tool set. So here, let's do another one, just a couple. And A2, I think I labeled that one wrong. But you get the idea. Okay, so here you can see how quickly it found all of those chairs and tables. If you look closer here, you can see marks on all of those. If we go back to page 1, you can see there's a whole bunch of marks on here. And in just a couple of minutes, I've got all of those labeled and counted up for me. So when we look at spaces over here, once I turn on my spaces column, you can see where those markups actually live. And if I click on the top of that column, I can sort it by space. So you can see here, East P12 4120. That's that conference room that we created, and it found all of those different chairs and tables within that room. And it's going to tell us there's 14 chairs and 5 tables. So we can very quickly not only count, but locate where those are at. And those are the locations with spaces are nice for not only counting and getting our quantities to order and price, but it's also nice to have those for the installers that are going to be delivering and bringing these different elements to the site, to the office. So those are the spaces. If I look at I want to go back to my spaces and show you why I put the dash in here. So down here, you can see I put a space after the T and before the P when I named those. If I go to one of these other ones, you can see here, there's a dash in there still that it puts in automatically. So you don't want to put a dash when you name a space because it'll double it up. But I like to space these out a little bit, so I put a space at the end of my north and at the beginning of my child, the P12, when I name those, so that it shows up a little bit cleaner here. So that's one tip with those, and you can see here we've counted up a ton of things here. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to jump over to a different drawing here. And this one is just another office layout. With this one, I'll do a couple searches as well. So on this one, I've got chairs. I won't show as many as the last time. Do a search for RCH-01. Select all those, and those are under my chairs. Okay, so mark those. Then I'm going to do my 2s. Again, just very quickly marking these. You can see those. And then another one here is periodically we have power poles. So those aren't necessarily chair labels, but they're text. So let's do a search for that. So I'm going to come over here, power poles, search for that. And then I have that under my accessories. So I'm going to select that. And it puts it on the note that it finds, of course. But then if you wanted to get specific, you could go and move those. But it helps us find them so that we can properly place those and count those. Another one might be, let's see, over here we've got base in feeds. So let's find those. Found a handful of those. Those are going to be in my accessories again. And again, it's going to place those, and I can move those where they belong. But it helps me find and count all of those on my project. So now that we found those, let's create some legends. So how I like to create my legends, my favorite way, you could certainly just select all your markups and create legends. You can select them all, right click, create a legend. You can do it that way. How I like to do it is I'm very strategic on how I build my tool chests. So I have my office chairs, my tables, and my accessories. So how I create them is click on the little gearbox here, go to legend, create new legend, and it's going to create a legend of only the things inside of that tool set. So now I can drop that into my sheet. Once you drop that on your sheet, obviously my default has the volume and unit for some other projects that I'm working on, but I can very easily edit that by going over to my properties. I like to turn on my grid lines for my table style. That gives my lines here. And I'm going to go to edit columns and just make sure I don't need the unit or the volume. I want to turn on my count. Say OK, and it's going to give me the count of all of my chairs and the different types of chairs. So it keeps just the chairs in that tool set. So once I've created these, oftentimes, as I mentioned in my blog, I'll right click and set this as the default once I get it looking the way that I want. That way when I click create my next one, it will have all the lines and text the way that I like it. And then an extra tip, I also like, once these are done, right click, add it to my tool chest and put it in that tool set. So not only do I have all of my different tools, but I have a pre-built tool set that I can place on my plans. So you can see I'm going to go and place my accessories, put that in here as well. On these I added spaces, so if I come back to my other floor plan and I drop in my office chairs and my tables and my accessories, you can see it's reading all of those and filling them in for me. It's going to tell me the different locations for all of these different and how many there are. Okay, so some of these C12s, there's 17 of those that aren't in a space. That means they're up here. They're not inside of this east part of the this east space. If I go back to my other sheet, they're inside of this space, which is also east. It's just a continuation. And this one, we're counting them. So I would go back to my second page there, go up here and just do my due diligence and make sure that I delete these. I don't want to double my quantities. And then that's a way for you to double check your tables or your legends and make sure that things are accounted for and their location. So that's what I wanted to mention about legends. Very, very cool stuff that you can do there. If I go back to my highlight, I want to show you guys kind of a different idea on digital dashboards. So we've all seen where you can build a dashboard to use it for document management and pointing to different RFI folders and things like that. In this case, for interior design, I just wanted to create a very simple dashboard where we're showing the client information and we're organizing things ourselves as well. So this little cluster of offices here, I have a hyperlink there and I can just click on that. It's going to open up a document for my installs. So this is a blow up of that area. It has all of my notes, some images that I brought in from that particular website. And with the digital dashboard, we can create hyperlinks to just about anything. We just saw I created the hyperlink on the last sheet to open up this document. I would, if I go back to that highlight, all those different configurations, I could create a hyperlink going to all of those individual install sheets. So hyperlinking all of those different office spaces. Once I'm on here, I can put in my notes for the different things here. And then down here, for example, I have the different color schemes, and those are each hyperlinks where if I click on it, it's going to jump out to that supplier's website and open up that color palette. So you can see the texture and the color of that, of what I've chosen for that area. Okay, if I go back here click on a different color, it's going to load that one. So you can really bring things to life and point people, your customers, directly to those resources and be able to see not only the ones that were selected, but maybe the ones that are also available. Okay, if I go back to Bluebeam here. So I did that for each of these different colors. Up here, we've got different layouts of panel sizes and things like that. And in here, I just created a hyperlink where I can click and it's going to open up again. This one happens to be a PDF, but it's on their website to their panel gallery. So this document's 52 pages. It goes through all the specs and sizes available and things like that. So they can thumb through and see all of the different accessories that they might need for that. So a digital dashboard doesn't have to be just for navigating drawings. It can be a sales tool. It can be something that you're navigating through and really bringing the textiles and things like that to life at your fingertips for your customers. Typically, you'd bring a box with all these different samples and things like that. This way we can point to those different areas of the internet and show what's available, and more importantly, show up-to-date information. So when those websites are updated, it's going to go directly to that updated site and show current products. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I hope you learned a few tips going through Spaces, Search, Legends, and finally digital dashboards. If you made it all the way to the end, please give the video a like. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.